Being that it is 5:15, I call the Economic Development meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call has been taken. I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Make motion.
Motion made and seconded. April. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I would entertain approving the March 26, 2024 minutes as read in the packet.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And number 4, I would entertain some public comment. Any public comment? Public comment. Seeing none, we'd like to move on to our 5th agenda item, the New London Business Highlight with Events Everlasting.
I will take the opportunity to lead into that. This is something we've talked about doing in the last couple of meetings to try to bring in a business to let the community know and the committee know what's going on. April and I have some great conversations with business leaders, and we're always jazzed up after we meet with these business leaders about what's going on in their operations. And I think Hans made the comment about, well, can more people come and what's so what? But instead of having everybody come to that meeting, we thought we'll bring those people to you. So Kim Jonas from Events Everlasting is our guinea pig for this new program to try to bring some information to the committee of what's going on. So I'm going to kick it off to Kim. She brought a PowerPoint presentation, which it all works out. Let's see if it works. Kim, introduce yourself more, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for having me today. My name is Kim Jonas, Events Everlasting. Newer to New London, but I already feel established. So just going to share a little bit of background of who we are, what we're doing in the community, along with talking about where we're going to go in the future and our plans with New London. So about us, we did start out as wedding and event planning solely. I used to work at the Timber Rattlers. I was the director of catering and events there. And I reached my glass ceiling. And so I ended up starting my own business a few years before COVID. COVID actually gave me the opportunity to work on my business plan and launch my business into fruition. In the first 6 months in 2021, when I left my full-time job and moved into entrepreneurship, I was doing it out of my home and garage, and it was just a lot. But we had 17 weddings that first year, which was absolutely crazy for me. I was used to it, but it was overwhelming the success that we had. We moved into a small building in Fremont, where I live, and that building, we quickly outgrew it. We expanded on and offered floral services for our clients, along with a lot more rental options for their weddings. So 6 months, it was December of 2021, I met with Chad and April, and I was a few weeks away from having to get out of the building with the lease and everything, and they very quickly helped me get connected with our first location, which was next to the movie theater. We were able to move in and open about a month or 2 later. I think it was the beginning of February that we opened that year. And we just started running. We didn't even crawl or walk. We started running. We networked with everybody we possibly could. I had a lot of network connections within the Fox Valley and Green Bay and Oshkosh and Door County and those type of places, but I didn't have a lot back in New London, my hometown. So I reconnected with the people that were here that I knew, and then also being able to work with the community leaders that were here really finding those people and latching on, and finding ways that I could offer them something along with being able to offer me something in return. So we work with the chamber very closely. We work with the school district. We work with a lot of local businesses. We really just, anybody who's interested in connecting with us, we are happy to do so. And then when we moved into New London, it was about the time that Rice's had retired. So we became another staple establishment for floral options. With that, people were asking for more retail options, being able to have a gift shop, be able to fill a niche that, or a gap that was in the community. And that has become the theme, is that we listen to what people say when they come in, what they're looking for, and we find a way to make it happen for them. So we started adding on more retail, like grew and grew and grew. And then we were able to connect with the Nielsen's over at the TV Appliance building and move into that location. That location, very quickly, in about a week or about a month, we were able to move out and move in and open. We were really excited too to be able to bring another, or connect with another local business, or a business in Appleton, who was interested in moving a second location to New London, to go into our old location as we were moving out. So we actually added a business, retired a business, and didn't have any empty spaces. So that's something that we really pride ourselves on as an accomplishment in the last year. So weddings, just talking a little bit about that and how that pertains to our economic growth here in New London. Most weddings that we coordinate are realistically outside of New London. What we are doing is we are being able to do 30 to 35 weddings a year. Again, about 99% of those are outside of our community, but we travel and then bring those funds and the earnings that we have back into our community. Everyone who works at Events Everlasting is local. They all support local. We very much just have that as a backbone of our organization, that we're supporting local, that we're able to bring people here too for our meetings, and then encouraging them to visit our establishments, be able to take a walk along the river, be able to go to Dairy Queen, stop at festival if they need to run errands, just kind of different things as we bring people into our community. Another way that we bring people into the community is our classes. We are actively advertising outside of New London for our classes that we host. We have an event space that's able to host about 20 people, where we do things like yoga and meditation and crafty classes, plant classes. We are able to do floral arranging, just anything and everything. Talking to people as they come in for those classes, we have people from Appleton, Shawano, Green Bay, Wapaka, and they really just find us on the social media. So we're really being able to bring people in and just see what the city has to offer for everything. We do team building activities. So we had some people from Thrivent, we've had people from the school district. We've also gone out to other businesses, so like Secure Insurance. We do a lot of their team building activities. So we not only collaborating within New London, but collaborating as a business from New London going out to other communities as well. And then we provide an opportunity for entrepreneurs. Something about our classes that I'm really excited to be able to share is that we don't charge anything to people who want to host a class with us. So we have someone who teaches yoga. We don't charge her a room fee at all. She's able to come in, share her skills, be able to provide another outlet for her to provide income for herself on her entrepreneurial journey. We're also able to just even network and again, collaborate. That's kind of the key words that happen in all of this with each other to make sure that they're successful through their journey and be able to share their skill sets that they have. And then again, community focused. I mean, that's kind of what we've been talking about, what I've been talking about the entire time. We volunteer as much as possible between chamber events, the green team, we were just out yesterday doing some cleanup, part of Rotary and do a lot of volunteering there. and just any opportunities that we have. We do work a lot of weekends with the weddings and events, so sometimes it's a little difficult, but we volunteer as much as possible. When we're not able to volunteer, we at least give back. I have never said no to anybody who's asked for a basket for any type of fundraiser, or if I have to find something more creative, we go into that collaboration where we work with them to find a way. So as an example, FFA came to me and asked for a donation, but after talking to the FFA leader, she had mentioned that they needed floral for a banquet. And I was like, well, why don't we do that instead? It makes more sense for both of us. So yeah, we do a lot of trades for those sponsorships, and so really I don't ever say no. Very rarely are we saying no to anyone. And then so we just provide that general support, and then the leadership. We are both Raven, who's my full-time coordinator, and myself are our chamber ambassadors. I'll be Rotary president for the New London district, or the New London chapter, in July. I'm part of the Agricultural Education Board. We also do internships, and then just helping individual businesses starting out. So just however we can possibly be of help to the community is what we do. So that's a little bit about who we are, what we do. As much as we are wedding and event planners, coordinators, florists, retail store, I wanted to really showcase that we do so much more than just those physical things. So future growth, thankfully I was able to receive the facade grant through the city, so thank you for that. We were able to, or will be able to put a new sign above the store, so it'll no longer say TV Pliance, and it'll have Events Everlasting. The really cool thing is that we're going to keep the same style. It'll be a different font, but the same type of style as what TV Pliance had. So keeping that building iconic, keeping it what it was. Same thing with the outside. The awning is not going anywhere. We're actually going to be refinishing the awning in the same color and everything. Some of the boards are just a little weathered. So being able to update that a little bit and just add a florist charm to it. We are looking to expand. I'm not going to say like this year or next year, but we are looking to expand our rentals and eventually needing warehouse space. Right now we are content, but with that we are considering, do we stay in the New London area? Do we go outside the New London area? What do we do? So as New London continues to grow and we encourage New London and the rest of the businesses to grow, we'll see that I really do feel that we'll see that New London is the place to be able to keep that. It'll be close to our location, and be able to work really nicely for that. Future growth, full-time coordinator. I already said Raven was our full-time coordinator, but she actually starts next week in her full-time position. She's going to be a salaried position with benefits and everything else. So that's a really cool opportunity that I'm able to give to an employee. Not something that I ever thought I would be able to offer employees or anything like that. Internships, we do have an intern coming in. Really cool thing is that this intern is from Madison. She went to school in New London here. She went off to Madison in 2025. She'll be graduating, and as long as everything works out all right, she's planning on making roots here, staying with me, and being able to start her life and her family here. So I thought that was really cool. And then just my focus is changing a little bit with Raven and then intern coming in, is that you'll start seeing me a lot more here. I'm as they're going out and doing the weddings and events, I am going to be putting my roots here and being able to do more with the community, being able to be out on the weekends, being able to be around everyone in general. So being able to offer more of that. The next thing that I want to talk about as far as future of Events Everlasting, again, we listen to what our community is asking for. And it's been brought to me since I first opened in 2022. How do we do farmers markets? How do we make them happen? How do we bring that to downtown New London? Well, with being able to be in a place where I have a parking lot at my fingertips, we'll actually be doing a farmers market behind Events Everlasting. This year it will be 3 days, so the second Sunday of each month, June 9th, July 14th, and August 11th, where we have 10 vendors right now lined up for each day, combination of produce and meat products and general goods, along with some interactive things. We have the Art League working with us on being able to do some interactive things. We have someone doing permanent jewelry. We have some henna. We have just a bunch of different things. And then we also have, of course, like your jams and your jellies and salsas and that type of options. We have a food truck that will be parked behind us. We have one set up for every day of the farmers market, and we even have backups ready to go just in case. So it's been a really cool opportunity. We've received a lot of really good feedback. We really just sent it out yesterday on social media. So and I had, just sitting here, I had a few people reach out asking if they can be part of it too. So as long as everything goes well with that, we are looking to be able to expand it and working with the city on how we can expand the farmers market and be able to do it as more of a weekly basis. So if you're able to, definitely come and support it. The more people that we have and the more it makes sense for everybody, we'll continue doing it. The other future thing that I wanted to talk about is, I mean, obviously we have the road construction going on. The downtown businesses have been getting together to figure out solutions, be able to be creative of what we are doing and how we're getting customers into our doors down the streets, to be able to come into the businesses. If you're familiar, Tracy Johnson from Longevity just did a bingo, and which was really, really cool. Brought a lot of people in that we haven't seen, and it was the same feedback for everybody. We have a Facebook group that we all talk together and come up with some ideas. And an idea that we had was doing a passport to downtown. So where we will, this is the outline right now, it's a rough draft. But what we'll be doing is putting a booklet together, and they'll be able to go into the establishments that are signed up and be able to either get a sticker or a stamp or whatever the business decides to put in their passport book. And then they'll be able to turn that passport book in at a specific time or date. And then we'll be able to pick a couple names, or however we decide to do it. All the fine details haven't been worked out yet, but we'll be able to, they'll have a whole book. We'll be able to collect those and be able, or at least check them off if they want to keep them as a little sake or whatever, they can definitely do that. But being able to really give them the opportunity to collect stickers or things from downtown. Also working with somebody who makes stickers, so being able to see if they can make stickers too for the local businesses that participate. Yeah, I really just want to say thank you. Thank you, Chad and April, for inviting me here today. I mentioned you at the beginning, it really wouldn't be possible, and I wouldn't have been as ambitious and encouraged to be here if it wasn't for talking to you two when I first set up that initial meeting. I'm really thankful for the entire community and the entire city to be able to help support me. So yeah, that's, I guess if anyone has any questions, I am open for questions, but yeah.
Thank you. Really informative.
I think this is just a perfect example of new business coming into town, and just the collaboration, the networking, doing what you got to do to really make yourself successful. I mean, joining the other businesses, you know, the chamber in April, the business networking meeting. I know several of you go to that. I know Bill goes to that. It's building the cooperation, and partnerships are just expanding in New London, and it's just, you know, it shows the growth and the momentum. We keep on saying momentum, the momentum we got going on, which is just awesome. So thank you, Kim, for coming in and telling us about the success you've got going on, and keep on going.
Thank you.
Any other
Yes.
questions from anyone?
Works out perfect for them. They can have their farm market out the back and it's front store up. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It is a great idea. I love that. And thank you for coming, Kim. And I can attest to Kim listening. Cause I'm a, hey, this would be a great idea. And she's run with those things. And I'm like, hey, do you carry this? And she's gotten it in. So I can attest to that. And I really appreciate all that you've done for the community. So thank you. Okay. Nobody has any other questions?
Thank you, Kim.
Okay. Okay, so next on the agenda then is to review the survey ideas about the downtown placemaking. And Chad, I'm going to turn that back over to you as well.
Wonderful. We got computer issues up here right now. There we go. All right, so survey ideas for placemaking. At the last meeting, we talked about maybe putting out a survey to try to get some more public information about our placemaking projects. So at the last meeting, and in your packet, I included the questions that we provided and talked about last time. Based on your feedback, the questions were more so, can we do a little bit more of multiple choice questions to make it easier for people? Otherwise, the people might fall off. We might get more information. So I did my best to try to give you some ideas or just some things to kind of get the juices flowing of some questions. And they're very high level, general. They're not site specific because, like I stated before, I think if we're going to do site specific questions, that would be a little bit more so with the process if we hire a consultant to do. So these are obviously very high level, general questions about placemaking. But with that, and if you read my memo, one of the challenges I came up with is in coming up with questions, what are we going to do with this? And I think that's one of the biggest questions we got to ask. If we put out a survey, what are we going to do with the information? What are you guys looking at? What do you want to gain from this survey? So I threw some general questions about, you know, what people like to do and maybe what some events like public art or outdoor seating, what people would like to see more. But the question is, what are you guys, what's the committee, what's the city, what are we going to do with that information? Kind of pose that question to the committee. And that'll help me, you know, refine these a little bit more.
I mean, do we have funds in our budget if we come up with, you know, a great idea for placemaking? I mean, what types, I don't even know what's in our economic development fund right now to create a project for placemaking.
So two ways we can approach funding. Number one, we can look at the Economic Development Reserve Fund, and give me a second and I can look and see what's in there. But along those same lines, just get this up here. Along those same lines, if it's something that we don't want to use our Economic Development Fund for, then it's something that we could maybe put into a capital projects request for the 2025 budget. All departments put in requests for either program or projects or equipment, and the economic or the capital projects committee and council determines what projects to do with that. So in the downtown facade economic development budget right now, we have about 158,000. If we want to use some of that for hiring a consultant, possibly. I think Ginger had some ideas with numbers at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago. Do we want to do that? Or if we don't want to touch this with that project, then we would put it into a 2025 capital request. And then it goes through the process for evaluation for the 2025 budget, if that makes sense. Now, keep in mind that 158,000 that you see right there on the screen that's in our reserve fund. There is money committed there. For the facade grant.
I was gonna say that.
We've got 4
That's our
facade
facade
grants
grant as
that are
well.
committed right now, 4,000 apiece. So we've got that amount of money, about $20,000 earmarked already for projects that have been approved. They haven't been funded yet because actually the projects have to go. They have to, the downtown owners have to do the projects yet, but out of that 158, take off 20,000 right now for potential projects.
And I feel like that facade improvement program is really gonna take off after construction. Agree.
So I
So the
go-
process of of capital, do we create like a wish list and then that kind of goes onto another committee for a blessing or?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. So if there's either a project, like hiring a consultant, or say the Economic Development Committee wants to build a new sign somewhere and they don't want to use those funds, that request could go on the list of many for the Capital Projects Committee to consider, and then it's all prioritized and evaluated for approvals.
I think you can use the information that we gather from the survey as a charge to ourselves and the city. So for example, in the space that we were looking at last month. But also we could push the information back out and use it. It's available for the community to use. For example, Wolf River Art League, or if the Lions Club is thinking about doing another car show because we get a bunch of feedback that that's something the community really enjoys doing. Or, hey, we've got enough car shows, what we'd really like to see is blank. Now the Lions Club knows, let's do blank. So I think that there are other ways that the community can use the information, not just us, but certainly we can use it too.
That's a good point.
I think when sending out, however we determine that these questions will be released, is be upfront that we've got some possible ideas and how that wording goes in. We don't know, just trying to get some community feedback on things that could be up and coming, because we don't want to give the false premise that, hey, look, we're going to do this. And then all of a sudden affordability, or maybe it's a roadmap of how to get there. It's just a generic, holistic, what would we like? And then I do like what Hans just shared of, now it's a destination. Now we can build a map on how to get to where we want to get based on what the community tells us, not the people sitting here.
So how does everyone feel about the questions that are being posed? Do you think we need to add more? Pare them down a bit? Run with it and see what happens?
Will we have some kind of space for like additional comments?
So there is in the end, kind of two open questions. If you could design your dream outdoor public space, it's very open-ended. What would you offer? And then also the option of anything else that you'd like to end, or anything else you'd like to share about placemaking. So there is the open-ended questions at the end to hopefully grab some data that we're not, that don't fit in these boxes that we're not thinking.
So the questions you're referring to are the 8 over here, or the multiple choice ones? Yeah, those, okay.
Yeah, based on the committee's feedback last month, instead of doing all open-ended questions, this was just a start to get the juices flowing. The committee was talking about trying to narrow it down to make it easier, quicker for people to answer. But this does still give the opportunity for customization. If one of these questions, like considering public spaces in London, which aspect is the most important to you, pick one. If one of these 4 are not their top choice, they can put other, and they can give us their information that way.
Yeah, I thought they were good questions. The very first one, not to flip it as a negative, but you could also ask, what are your least favorite things? If you're talking to citizens, there might be something that turns people off. Maybe they perceive we have a litter problem. Maybe they don't like the loud noises or whatever, just a thought. I know that affects people differently when it comes to outdoors, certain sensitive,
And is it the thought right now that this is entirely what it would be, or if we send out some questions, like we have a mailer going with the utility bill, that could be one, maybe online, could be different ones, because I know for some of our certifications, there'll be an answer But there'll be 4 questions asking it different ways to see if a person comes up with the same answers. Are we thinking that there'd be different methods, like this would be paper, there'd be Facebook? I don't.
I was thinking of trying to get it out in different venues by far to try to capture as much feedback as we can. I was not thinking about, Facebook doing some questions and then a mailer doing some questions. I mean, I guess I didn't think of doing that. If we want to do that route, I probably would request more help designing questions.
Right.
See what it would be.
If you have too many questions, people ain't gonna answer them.
Correct.
They're just gonna throw them out.
Yeah, I like the second batch of questions better. There's the open-ended opportunity,
Mhm.
but there's also hopefully the multiple choice quick hits that people will be more likely to respond to.
And if there's a question I missed or a bullet point, checkbox that I missed, I'd be more than happy to add them in there.
I guess I would just like to see as we're doing this, oftentimes when some of these surveys come up online, you get to pick one thing. And I don't ever want to pick one thing.
Mhm.
I might have 2 or 3 things that are, just about as equally important to me, and I don't want to have to differentiate. So I'd like to make sure that they can, if they like everything, they can check everything. If they don't want something on there that it's not of interest to them, then they don't have to.
I did put that in some questions, like this one, check that all that apply, because it was interesting. Like you said, I would want more than one. But then when you got to something like this, when considering public spaces, which aspects are the most important to you, they might check them all. And if you got a survey back, every single one checked, then it was like, oh, that really didn't help us.
Right.
So that in that question, my thought process was to narrow it down to one, and then we could rank them. The most important one that we got to tackle first.
That makes sense.
But I agree. I mean, some of these you're going to want to allow people to have multiple choices in there.
So does anybody have any suggestions, comments?
I think it's good the way it is. You don't want too many people checking too many slots, because otherwise it's like, well, what did we do? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We're gonna be sitting in the same spot after that comes back as we are now.
And this is modifiable. It's, once again, it's the first steps. I feel like we start somewhere.
Mhm.
So what are we looking to, do
Do you need a motion?
you need a motion or where does this go?
I think what I'll do is take your feedback, formalize this, come up with a game plan for timing, exactly the venues, stuff like that. I mean, come up with a game plan of how we're going to release this and bring that to the next meeting. And then if you guys like that plan, we'll implement it, which will probably also include approving funding to put it in the utility bill as well. So if you
Yeah.
guys are on board with these questions, I'll come up with a full game plan, dates, times, all that fun stuff, and figure out. Maybe I'll ask people a little bit to help which online venue we want to use, SurveyMonkey or whatever else is out there, what's the best one to use.
I was gonna make a suggestion. We saw some success when we did a survey. We just made a little postcard with a QR code.
Yep.
We were able to hand that out and we got really good feedback for nominations and voting. Made it really quick and simple to just scan it and for younger kids to participate.
Oh, a QR code, sir. Okay.
Are you
If you
thinking for
approve some of these things, this is not money coming on economic development. This would be, if it's a bigger project, like say a place for music, a stage, or should I say a stage or something like that, that would be going to capital projects.
I would foresee, my reaction to that right now is if the Economic Development Committee would want to move forward with a placemaking project after this, hiring a consultant and doing that, I would say that would be a joint project between Economic Development, Parks and Rec, and that's why Ginger's here to kind of, bring input on that side, because it's going to end up being maintained by the park system for the most part. So I think that Parks and Rec Committee should also be involved in that process from the beginning. So after the survey, we can kind of get this feedback and say, is a placemaking project something we want to pursue? And then make it a joint effort between economic development and Parks and Recreation and move forward, how we want to do that. I guess that would be my recommendation at this point in time.
Right.
But then any capital improvements, yes, say we have to add some things, yes, putting that into the capital projects or grants, depending on what's available for grants out there. But you gotta have a plan first before you write those grants.
Would the grants, would any of them grants for down there by the river be possible to have something like that down, or would that be outside of the scope?
Thinking more of a stewardship, the Knowles Foundation, stewardship would be appropriate for that space. Probably nothing competing with the river, because those are two different pots of money, so, yeah. Or I know that, economic development, Wisconsin Economic Development also has grant opportunities available for exactly this.
So hopefully we can tap into a couple grants.
Possibly.
That would be awesome.
Linda, were you thinking that, say, at question number 1 and number 2, were you thinking that we should put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a little in quote, like rank 1 through 5, and then where it says number 2, check all that apply, rank 1 through whatever there is, 5 or 6 or
I
something?
would,
Is that what you'd like for?
yeah, I would kind of like to see them ranked, or at least pick your top 3 or something like that, so that, maybe not all that apply, but what are your, some way to give us the ability to say.
I'm gonna
what's
check
the
all
mo-
those.
Right, I mean,
I want all of those, and I'm sure there's other people that want all of those.
but in what order? Yeah, that's kind of my thought process, or at least paring it down to
I think,
pick 3 out of 6.
I think right now, this is great information to get, and if we're not ready to
Yeah.
pounce on an idea, why not push this out right now? See what we get back and expand from that. And like you said, maybe we can have more, we'll get more options out of that.
This information will be really good for a engineer to look at, or a developer to look at and say, oh, I get it now. Because they always ask, what are you looking for? So this is perfect to hand over to them for them to run with the design.
And it might be followed by a different kind of survey if, say, everyone's
And
committed
all
to
that.
an outdoor concert place. Then you'd look at what, if you're attending an outdoor concert, what don't you? You wouldn't want it like on a busy stretch of street where everybody takes off with them loud motorcycles. You're trying to listen to a strings and things band or something, and you'd ask those kind of specific questions once people have given you the information on what they agree.
So I guess it's just mostly direction at this point for Chad and possibly Ginger to refine what we want to do with the survey and get that a little bit more solidified as to how we're going to present that. And then we can approve or disapprove that at the next meeting. So any other comments?
I think doing it timely would help offset what's, it would just show some, like, holy cow, this community's moving,
Right.
The whole downtown's being rebuilt. There's got some questions and some ideas floating around. If we're gonna go, I don't know that.
I think it'll drum up excitement during the summer as this is starting to weigh on people. When they start seeing a survey like this come out, they can be like, oh, there's
More.
not only is there an end in sight here, but we're doing more stuff. We're forward thinking. I think that'll really be a good thing. So if we can get it drafted and approved at the next meeting to get out there in that end of May, beginning of June, when people are really starting to think about summer activities and what they want to do, would be perfect timing. Any other questions or concerns? Okay. So next on the agenda is to consider and discuss future advertising opportunities on digital billboards. And Chad did a bunch of research for us there.
All right, so we have kicked around the idea of trying to market New London a little bit, and it all started with trying to promote New London, especially after the Highway 15 project is done. We know there's a digital billboard in Greenville on Highway 15. We talked about, it would be a great opportunity maybe to market New London in that area. To start there, if we want to talk about other digital billboards in the area, we could do that. But I've been targeting that billboard specifically. So I did get some costs from Lamar, who is the company that owns that billboard. And I started off the process of just seeing what it would be to pay for ads for the city in general to promote New London after the Highway 15 project is done. Thinking that, it'd be great to put some ads on there just promoting the city, some tagline on the bottom saying, your new community is 19 minutes away, or commute time is 19 minutes away, or whatever that number is, just to try to promote that a little bit more. Then I got a bigger idea, which I don't know if this is too big of an idea, to see, wouldn't it be cool if we could monopolize that billboard for like an entire month, just all of New London ads? So if someone's coming by, all they see is New London ads, city, chamber, tourism, businesses, and just rotate it. So I thought, I asked the salesman from Lamar, what would it be if we wanted to kind of monopolize that billboard? So the information I got is that they have 8 advertisers, I'm calling them slots, 8 advertisers per week on a digital billboard like that. So each ad is displayed once per minute for about 7.5 to 8 seconds. So every 8 seconds, your ad pretty much comes up. Each slot for a week is $175. So if we wanted to pay for 1 week's worth of advertisements, again, there's 8 advertisements per week, and each ad would come up once per minute for about 7.5 seconds. That would be $175. If we would do a full month, you just add that up across, it'd be $700. The cool thing about this is if other businesses, nonprofits, tourism want to get up on board with this, it's a la carte. I mean, we wouldn't have to monopolize it every week, but say for example, the city, if we decided we want to be all in for a full month, it'd be $700. You could have the same ad for the 4 weeks. You can do a different ad every week. We could change that up. It doesn't change costs. It's just a matter of, changing up, doing the different ads. Say tourism gets in, does 4 weeks. Maybe one business does a full 4-week ad at $700. And then a different business just jumps in a week 2, then week 4. Maybe business C jumps in a week 3. Basically adding up to 7. But I guess my thought process was to try to monopolize that billboard to try to really get New London out there when Highway 15 opens up. Maybe too grandiose of a thought process. One of the things that the salesman did say was they would work on the designing and everything with all the businesses. One thing they would request is that we would take care of the funding aspect of it. So we would figure out, how many businesses are in week 1. We would pay the bill, and all the businesses would reimburse the city for getting onto this program. So I don't know what the committee thinks about that. It's not too bad of a price for $175 to be on a billboard for a week. Granted, it's not a static billboard, it's rotating once every 7.5 seconds. But, thoughts? What are you guys thinking?
I love the idea, and I shared this when we had talked earlier, but I can see New London promoting Winter Wonderland. Our downtown is brand new, open, and we have a winter parade, advertise it in the month of November, and draw some traffic from the Fox Valley.
I have no clue how many businesses would be interested in that, or nonprofits, but it's just an option to throw out there.
And we would ask me one time, like, what are different ways that we try to promote New London
I don't
outside
know
of
if
the
I can
city?
talk, but I will sign up for one.
And this is exactly.
And the cool thing would be something would be consistent on all of them, whether, that drive time is 19 minutes or something to make a match that that's New London. I mean, one business is advertising for looking for hired help. One business is looking for this. April's going to advertise for Winter Wonderland. The city's going to, advertise that downtown is open, but something on that ad is consistent between all of them, just to kind of keep that uniformity or consistency with that, to make that feel like it's New London.
I would absolutely, that's not a bad price at all for billboards. Previous role I've had to do billboards, and that's not a bad price at all for digital, especially. I would absolutely do it, especially in November where we're trying to get people downtown. Like you said, Winter Wonderland. For me specifically, it would be shopping for the holiday season, wreaths, floral, all of the things. And so my mind is going crazy. But I can think of other businesses too that I could, just even mentioning to them and they would do it. So.
Or is there actual, so the slots, is there truly 14 slots? So
No.
you've got city all the way down to now.
There's 8 slots. This example showed that a business does not have to,
So 8 times
Advertise.
700 is what you're saying? If we took the entire billboard, 8 times 700?
Mhm.
So
if I'm understanding this correctly, then that would be it.
this would be shooting from the hip. This would be a really kind of neat thing if we could do somewhat of a matching on the facade side. If a company said they wanted to do a billboard of something and we could do, some sort of little matching would show,
And I didn't even think of that. To do a
Oh, I
matching.
that would
that.
show,
Oh.
that would show. So
I
events
like
and
that.
somebody does something, I just did the math, we're talking $5,600.
We're always
half of
saying
that.
like, what can we offer to our businesses to
Exactly.
help
If we
support
could do
them?
a matching that shows.
So if
My
they-
math might be way wrong, it comes down to how many slots and how much dollars there is in.
So
involved.
Bill, what you're saying is if a business takes 1 week for 175, we would do a matching.
If-
Uh,
Yes, yeah, if it's affordable, I mean, I don't. If
Yeah.
you're saying
So-
that 8 times 700, that came out to 56, so if we could do that, then I think somebody committing, and if we're doing it for the facade, if we could show some commitment on our side, that would be,
So hypothetically, you're saying that you would subsidize other busices, they pay half, we pay half? Is that what you're saying?
something, yeah.
For some kind of percentage,
A portion,
yeah.
a percentage, whatever it may be.
You're all in and you take up all 4 weeks. Why wouldn't you get more of an incentive to do that than a 1 week?
I agree.
So then that would cost if the business took all 4 weeks. So
$700,
so that'd be $700. So we'd look at doing a 350.
yes, if it was a 50% match.
Yeah.
Or whatever percentage you
Yeah.
decide.
And then you'd also, if it took off too much, then we'd have to have I mean, on the flip side, if this explodes, because if what we're hearing is that this is an affordable rate, then how do maybe we get too many applicants and we have to cap it like we do on the facade right now. We have X dollars. I don't know, it's just
What a good way to advertise a new business though, something like that.
I
Yeah.
think so. There's a lot of people that do come in from Hortonville, through the Hortonville area from Appleton to New London. And even traveling, to Appleton for work and then coming back, and even just that pride that it instills as you're coming through and on that billboard every single day, you're seeing these New London businesses and New London things. I think it, not just from the consumer standpoint, but just even the population, I think would really be empowered at that point.
Yeah, and we may want to, tourism may want it. I don't know. So there may be a very limited amount of spots. And then maybe we don't want it, maybe we would rather have the businesses, and that would eliminate, the city's portion. I don't know, just shoot from the hip.
I was thinking of, something promoting, New London as somewhere to consider for relocating for housing, for number one, but number two, definitely now that the downtown will be open right around that time, throw an ad in for that. Downtown is open.
So where do we want to go with this? Because I kind of feel like if we're gonna go all in, we've got a lot of work to do and we want to secure that. We want, if we're gonna make the commitment and go all in and, buy out the month.
Mhm. Yep.
Lock that in Because we don't know who else is looking at billboards and what they want to advertise and when they want to do it. So, but then also, we gotta get people together because they're gonna need to be working with Lamar and doing the programming and getting the stuff so that their ads can be up.
If you guys are in with this, you gotta make a commitment to be in, and then number two, whatever this matching percentage would be, because then I think the first step was obviously for us would be to advertise to the community. Here's what's going on, who's in, is it first come, first serve, are we gonna do random drawing? I mean, we gotta figure that out, but then it's gonna take us some time to get this word out of this program that we're gonna do. And then get those people on board, and whoever's being the partners with this initial round, working with Lamar, you know, and making sure their ads are.
Remember when Casey did the 11 days of Christmas or some sort of 12 days of Christmas?
Yep.
And sold those slots. It was like a first come, first serve.
Correct.
I just think this would be a fantastic way for the city to say, we want to support our businesses
Mhm.
with marketing. I love the idea.
You think we get more bang for our buck instead of running a month, if you just do the periodic week, say 4 times a year? So it's not like you're, getting a whole month of something, like, so you could advertise more like in spring for the Sturgeon type of area or towards your fall fest time. Just a thought.
You could do this program twice a year if you want to do sometime. I mean, that November-ish timeframe is just kind of a sweet spot, just because Highway 15 should be open up, or downtown should be open up, I think, capturing that.
Yeah,
After that, if we want to try to, maybe
I
in the
would do
spring, Walleye Run
November and March.
and Shamrock Club
Shamrock Club.
and
yeah.
Yes,
Sturgeon's
exactly. That's what I'm getting at. a little
Yeah.
bit of that.
Well, and I also think too that once the word gets out about this, because like Kim, did you know that this was an opportunity to do this for? I think once the word gets out, there's some of these businesses that are gonna tap into this continuously. They might do 1 week, once a month, and that's part of their advertising budget now.
Mhm.
So helping them get that out, just understanding that we're gonna start hitting with November, see how it plays out. I love the idea of doing it again in March. But so I guess my question from the rest of you is, where do we want to go with this right at this moment? Are we giving Chad more direction? Are we making a motion to start the process, secure the billboard? What does this group want to do? Where are we at?
I'd like to add down there too, I just did some math that we charge 12.5% or 12.5% on each week. Once you reach week 4, you're actually getting 50%. If we were to match half at a full 4 weeks. I mean, at 12.5% savings on 1 week, savings are
There might have to be some criteria, because you just brought up a good point. There might be some businesses in the community who would want to put, their employment ads on here, and we might, that would be up for discussion too, because if that's being matched, then there might have to be some rules set in place.
I think there will have to be some rules set in place.
Matching things to draw people into shop or
Yes.
to draw employees.
And maybe it goes with the Han said, when March is, I don't know, downtown week, because we don't want it to, I don't know what we want it to turn out.
So Bill, to your point, if this is all 8, slots, so 8 slots, be it $5,600 for all 8 slots for a month. No. For a week, right?
If you have $700 for 1 month's worth of slots.
This is 1 week.
Week 1.
It's one
Week
week,
one.
No, that would be a
One-
month.
that'd be a
It'd
month.
be a month, yeah, month.
1 month.
And then 50% of it. So if hypothetically the city was subsidized, it'd be $2,800 out of our economic development fund to help support local businesses in a campaign.
Well, it'd be a little bit more because we would be paying for all of our
Yeah, 100% of ours, you're right. So. So if you add on what our, if we're paying 100% of our, the month, and this is what we'd be paying.
I guess that's what this is supposed to be for, is to help, you know, the business develop and stuff, so I think that's it'd be well worth a thought.
I think we should, if possible, lock in for the month of November. Then we know we have it.
Mhm.
We have a couple months to develop some criteria. And then we put it out to the community. So we have another couple months to get applications, get them approved, and they can start working with Lamar.
I would entertain that motion to secure the month of November.
And if we do not fill the spots, we're gonna have to fund that whole spot,
More of our ads.
more of our ads, correct?
Which I think we could do.
We definitely
Yeah,
can
it's
do, but
basically a
that's
win-win.
gonna be an
I mean,
added cost.
You're either supporting the businesses or you're.
I
taking
would
that
find
money
out
to
how
the
many
business.
businesses wanna do this before you stick your neck out there and reserve it.
Well, we only have to find 6. Right?
That's if tourism or something gets on board.
Yeah, I
which-
can't speak for tourism, but
We'd have to ask that. committee.
very interested. And Chad brought this up at the revitalization, and there was another business there that was like, that's very reasonable price, and he seemed interested.
Already got one already. She
Yeah,
said
we've
she
got
was-
one.
So if we need
And
five
we've
more.
got potentially another one. So now we're down to like, we only need to find like 4
Well,
more.
April brought up a good point. You know, the chamber networking is amazing. There is an ungodly amount of businesses that go there. You bring it up there, that's. That's
We'll
gonna
find
happen.
Oh, yeah.
We'll find them.
I think Chad would sell all of those at one networking meeting.
If we're subsidizing half,
Absolutely.
So how many,
Lamar.
how many do you have average on?
Our largest one, I think, was like 48 businesses and organizations were represented. Yeah, and there used to be like 10 people that would come.
Yes.
But now it's huge.
Well, I'll make a motion to, if possible,
If available.
fund, if it's available, fund reservation of the month of November for the city of New London and New London businesses and nonprofits.
are you gonna throw a subsidy number in there as well?
I don't know if we have to do that quite yet.
I
Okay,
don't think we do.
just,
We just need to
I think-
secure it.
We can decide how we want to do that at a later
So
point.
that- that-
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
can you repeat that just to make sure everybody's on the same
Okay.
page?
Yep, the motion is to reserve November if it is available, or whatever is available of November. Provided, I mean, maybe a week is gone. To reserve November for the billboard. And to make it available to the city, the businesses and the nonprofits. That motion was made by Hans and seconded by April. Any further discussion?
I think we should wait till we make sure we got all the spaces full. Otherwise, the city's gonna be on the hook for $5,600.
But the city has things to advertise, like we're open for business, our construction is done, we have housing development happening. We have a story to tell, and I think it's really important that we go beyond New London to share it.
S.C. Swiderski might be
Correct.
one of the entities that want to
There it
advertise.
I was under the impression we were gonna take it, the billboard, regardless of the great idea for the business inclusion, but. So to me, $5,600 for a month on that billboard's cheap. Even if we do pay the whole $5,600. You know, for ourselves, you know.
Well, it'll only be 4,900 because Kim's already got one. She's spoken for one.
All 4 weeks.
So. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed?
No,
Okay, the ayes have it.
2 noes, right?
2 noes.
I can burn it.
Hopefully it's available. That's the election year.
Mm.
The first part of November might be taken.
I will ask.
Get that taken care of right away.
yeah, if we get pushed back to the second week of November to the first week of December, that's okay, right?
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking, if we decided to do it in March, maybe you would actually start in the middle of March and go to the middle of April. You
Or
would catch,
middle of February, so Irish Fest gets
Maybe.
time.
you'd catch the walleye run, sturgeon,
Big Whopper
Big Whopper weekend, St. Patrick's
Sturgeon
Day,
Shuffle.
Sturgeon Shuffle, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that sort of.
Citywide rummage sale, there's all kinds of things that you could do that time of year.
Couldn't have St. Patrick's in the middle of March,
But if you,
it's already passed.
well, ours is usually like, say, the 20th or the 23rd or something like that, by the time we have it.
It'd have to be the second week of March.
mhm,
We do the 2 first weeks of March and the 2 first weeks of April.
Sure.
Mix it up,
yeah,
whatever.
so,
You want this to show up before the event happens.
absolutely.
You're gonna wanna be like first week, like Chad said, you're gonna do that, you don't want to March. You want people to see this, and be able to plan ahead, not see this and it's the next day. That's not gonna work, gonna have to be a little bit.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And so follow-up and discussion about a shared grant writer program.
So we wanted to kind of follow up and see what everybody's thoughts were from our last meeting. So we had Greg Goldman here from the city of Waupaca, if you recall, regarding their grant writer program. Want to take the opportunity to see what you guys are thinking. Like I said, April with the chamber, Scott Black from the school, and I have engaged in some informal discussions on the topic and just expressed some interest in exploring further items. But the next logical step, if we are all interested in this, is obviously getting direction and information from more of the committee and the council. It doesn't pay for April, I, and Scott to put a bunch of work and a bunch of information into this if, say, the council, the school board, and the chamber board is not interested in that. So this question is to the committee, based on the feedback that you heard from Greg Gorman and the city of Waupaca. Is this something that you would like myself, as a representative from the city, to engage with the chamber and the school board to look into possibilities with this? Or is this something that, we're not interested at this point in time? Don't waste your time, focus on some other things. So that question is for the committee.
So my personal feelings on it is, we have so much going on in New London and so many opportunities, and there's so many grants out there that we just don't have anybody looking for them and finding out what the criteria is to meet for them. There's just so much stuff going on that I feel like we really need to look at this further.
I came into the meeting a lot more positive about it than I came out of it. The two things that kind of stuck out to me from what he told us were that when he first started out, there seemed to be a lot more grant money available because of COVID funds and I think were they like ARPA funds and some other stuff. And it seems like that's kind of coming to an end. So that's number one. Number two, this is probably going to get more competitive as the idea catches on. And number three, he's not really saving the city any money. He's actually increasing the city's budget by bringing on all these cool new things. So, I mean, they are cool new things that he's finding money for, but if the city operationally is already capped or at its max, where is the money gonna come from to fund these new things that we might be able to purchase with the grants? Makes me a little nervous.
I think there's dual things, and I'm glad you said that, because that's a good point. That's something that we all have to think about, that any new programs that are out there that aren't on our radar now, yeah, we gotta fund the other half. If it's a 50% grant, we have to fund that. But we also have programs and things. We've got the bridge that Ginger's gonna be looking at for the Newton Blackmore Trail. That's something that's in our radar already. So there are things that are on our radar that we're looking at for improvements. So hopefully we find grants for that. But you're absolutely right. We could find grants out there for things that aren't on our radar that we gotta find funding for somehow. So.
And you brought up another fact about being competitive and getting more competitive. We did discuss about that.
Mhm.
So is it our time to jump in that pool so we are in the game before it comes to that point where it is too competitive for our staff members? Starts pulling away from there. And that one's kind of a double-edged sword.
Are there grant writers that, I don't know what I'm asking, freelance? Like, is there somebody you can pay per grant
We have,
versus? Oh, okay.
well, we've done that many times.
So there's somebody that we could seek out and say, okay, we're looking for a grant on this or a grant on that versus putting somebody on the payroll.
So like the downtown grant, and there's gonna be grants that are like the downtown grant that we might still need to pay for a third party to put together for us compared to like a Greg Gorman. Because for like the downtown project, that is very technical engineering wise to put that together. So we hired our McMahon company we use for engineering. They wrote that STP urban grant for the downtown project that we got the 2.9 million. But like I said, there is so much engineering and so much information that is specific to that STP program. You needed someone who knows what that one's all about to write that grant. So even though you have a grant writer, there's going to be things like that, those big technical ones that you might still need someone to write and pay for that. But yes, we have done that. Newton Blackmore Trail, we had the grant writer help us with that. We had various grant writing and paying for someone to do the grant administration. So we got a community development block grant for helping do the streets in the 5th Ward. The Newton Blackmore Trail was community development block grant. We actually had to pay consultants to help us do all the paperwork for that as well.
So when we hired somebody, did somebody already know that? Because a guy like me, I don't even know what grants are available. So did we hire somebody who went to seek out what grants are available? Or did we, like, is there a grant, somebody who knows? Because I'm guessing, is the grant writing different than the grant seeking, for lack of better words, or no?
There are consultants out there like Ginger was talking about. Go ahead.
So, you made a really good point about COVID and ARPA funding and things like that. I think that in our world, we were inundated with that federal funding. But we've always had the opportunities in the Parks and Recreation world for funding. There's a lot of special interest groups out there like Wisconsin DNR, the National Park Service. Those places also have funding and have always had funding and large amounts of money for communities to apply for those grants. So I think, yes, you're right, that there was a ton of grant money out there at the time. but in my world, there'll always be funding available. I think that that was just, you know, that was just like COVID, extraordinary. But I think that in our specific fields, I know I speak for myself only, but in our specific fields, we all know how to look for those specific things. So I'm not sure in DPW if there's, you know, a world of grants that you can search for, but definitely in the Parks and Recreation field, that's something that we're trained to look for almost.
Just having that time
Right,
to
yeah,
set aside and.
yeah, absolutely.
There's the stewardship grant that we've got in the past, the
Yeah.
recreational boating fund we've got in the past, and we've hired consultants to write. We know the grant's there.
Yeah,
We know the project qualifies for it. We have the consultants write those grants for us.
right,
Or Ginger's working on some for, you know, over by the old City Hall garage site.
yes.
So combination, but we have definitely hired consultants to help us with grants in the past.
I wanted to share with the committee too, that I was contacted by the Fox Cities Community Foundation, that there was an anonymous funder that wanted to put a small fund towards the chamber, and they didn't really know what they wanted it to go towards. So the foundation contacted me and asked for some different ideas if we had any projects in the works. And I shared this perspective idea that, you know, discussions were happening between the city and the chamber and the school district to fund a potential grant writer, and she brought that idea back to the funder, and he was very excited, or they were very excited about the idea, and so was she. And she said that this could likely be funded by other sources, so she has that on her radar, so we could already have some potential funding towards it.
And that's how Wapaka got their first year.
Correct.
Because someone came forward with a donation to fund the grant for the first year, grant writer for the first year, but then after that, the city chamber and school and Wapaka had to pick it up, so.
Right.
Sounds like there's an opportunity maybe for the first year
Mhm.
to do a similar thing, but in perpetuity, is this something that we want to look at funding?
But we don't have to decide to do it in perpetuity, right?
Correct.
We can just decide, let's give it a shot for 3 years, if it works, great, we'll continue on for the foreseeable future, but if it doesn't,
Mhm.
then that was it.
And at this level, you're asking if there's interest in other areas. Right, is what this is questioning?
My question to the committee is, are you interested in us pursuing the option? That's not committing you yet.
Yes.
Or do you want us to put the time and effort to look into this? And I think April needs to talk to the chamber board and the school, Scott needs to talk to the school board. Are all three boards interested in us spending time researching this to come up with a proposal? Or if someone's not interested in, then like, right up from the start, we don't have to waste our time. We can focus on other things that we got going on.
I think knowledge is power, in my opinion. I don't know, so we gotta go around and vote, or what do we gonna do?
Mhm.
I'd say yes. Let's investigate.
I think we need to, this is a question for direction. So it's an opinion. Do you think we should continue down this path and learn more about it? It's not that we can't put the brakes on later,
Correct.
but right now, we don't know. We don't know if the school board's on
Yep.
board, or, you know, I'm thinking the chamber is.
Yep, I have some steps. So the chamber is a 501c6. We are a not-for-profit. In order for us to take advantage of any grants, I have to apply for a 501c3 nonprofit status. So there's some steps in place, but if the city is not interested in pursuing, I'm obviously not going to take those steps. So.
Yeah.
And I think what I
So-
need is, I'm looking for a statement that we are providing the chamber board and the school board that, yes, we are interested in researching this. Continued research. There's still another step that all three organizations have to commit to follow through with it, but
Even if you did.
I'm looking for a statement basically that we can go back and say, yes, the city is interested in pursuing, researching this further.
So you want a yes or no on our opinion regarding, okay, hang on. So you want a yes or no? Are we as a committee looking to give direction towards researching more information about a collaboration for a grant writer consultant, hiring a consultant to do grant writing for the city. So,
Myself, I kind of compare it to hiring an engineer when you're gonna have a job done. He's an expert, he knows what to look for, the same way with these guys. Might be a waste of money, but I think it's worth pursuing it.
I think, yes, we spoke with a grant writer last month. It would be interesting to talk to the community who has the grant, you know, to see what they've come up with for the grant writer. Are they finding benefits or challenges that I mean, we don't know what I don't know. So, I'd say yes, let's learn more.
you got a yes there. I thought Bob sounded like a yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay, let's just go around and
I wouldn't mind it being in a motion though.
you would like a motion?
Because that's some teeth that we can show the other
Okay.
committees and the boards that, yes, this committee is committed towards researching it, giving direction to look into this further.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion that the Economic Development Committee stands behind the researching of hiring a grant writing consultant in collaboration with the school board and the chamber.
I'll make the motion. You can say that.
I don't know if I can say it again. Thank goodness we're recorded. So we have a motion by Bill. Do we have a second? By Hans? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. We will move forward with our direction. Okay, we are at updates and reports, business updates, April.
People you plugged in?
Yep, ready to go. All right, this month I focused on
Did not.
expansions and construction of different businesses. The first update that I have for you, Chad had shared that Aldi has a groundbreaking coming up on April 29th of this year at 1910 North Shawano Street. So exciting to see that second option of a grocery option in New London.
You say that louder for the people in the back? Just
Next, we had Festival Foods join us at networking, and they shared that they are going to be doing a business expansion. May of 2024, they're going to be adding on to their produce and completing that in August of 2024. So no disruption to business. They're just adding on. They see their coolers and their for their produce is a little scrunched. They're going to add on there. Business expansion for Walker Family Veterinary Clinic at 1370 North Shawano Street. So this is in 2 phases. And this first phase is going to be finishing up at the end of this month. So basically what they did is they separated some rooms in their back area. They were able to have, now they're able to have a permanent surgical site and separate some dog and cat kennels. And they're also able to utilize a 5th exam room. Phase 2 is pending. Once they get approval from the city, what they would like to do is begin that in the next month or so. They'll be taking 1,000 square feet from American Family Insurance and increasing the room for their break and staff area. They'll also be hiring a part-time phone person who will be answering phone calls off-site, so it won't be a distraction when customers and clients are coming in and leaving. Next, an update for business expansion for Griebenau Eye Care. They completed their phase 1, a 2,400 square foot addition on February 9th, and they've been working out of that addition since February 12th. After that, they closed down their existing clinic and they have doubled that space of their former clinic, and they hope to open that in May of 2024. So by doing those updates, they're able to offer specialty services. They saw a lot of their clients going to the Fox Valley to get advanced non-invasive treatments. So now they're able to offer those right in New London. The next business expansion is for Stalker Sports Floor. Chad and I went last week and visited with Beth, and she showed us their new R&D shop, which I thought was fascinating. It's 5,000 square feet for training area. It's basically like a huge garage that they set up right behind their facility. So they're able to bring their employees back there and do some training. So there's 5 different types of sports floors back there, and they purposely installed those floors with broken boards in some of them. So they're able to take their employees and train them how to replace broken boards, rip them up and put new flooring in. Subway has announced that they will be doing a reconstruction, bringing our 1980 subway into the current day. So they're going to be doing a 5 to 7 day reconstruction. I even checked with them and said, is that a typo? Is it really going to take 5 to 7 days to do a complete reconstruction? And they assured me that that is what their timeline is. So November or December of this year, we'll have a brand new subway. I wanted to share with the committee that we had a tourism draw for the sturgeon spawning. The chamber, being a tourism entity, we gather phone numbers and emails and notify folks from all around the state. We notified just under 3,500 people when the sturgeon came in. They came in on a perfect weekend with beautiful weather. So we had crowds coming in Saturday, Sunday, and even in on Monday. We saw quite a few people coming in and stopping who were not from the area, stopping in at the chamber because they were confused by the construction on how to get out onto X. I have an update on the commercial listings here. I've added the Plaza and Piggly Wiggly. That's been on our site for quite a while, but I want to make sure everybody was aware of the current commercial listings. We had an update with Hilby's. They have a reduced price. It was at 1.3 and it's gone down to 1.2. And then 315 Burton Road is under contract and closes on May 2nd, according to that realtor. There is some interest on the theater that we're excited to see as well. I had shared these business updates and supports and tours, and we just added Stalker Sports Floor to that list. Then I'm going to pass around a letter. I only have one copy. I apologize. So I'm going to pass it this way. So if you could pass it back when you're done taking a peek at this. So Chad and I have been working on a business recruitment letter that has the city and the chamber and the mayor's information on there, inviting businesses to expand or start in New London. Just explaining that we're seeing growth in New London and we are open for business. So I'm coming to this committee to ask who should we be recruiting? Who should we be targeting? I brought this discussion up to the revitalization committee this morning at 10 o'clock, and these were some of the ideas that were submitted. So I think it's a good idea to just get some input from the community. Who do you think we should be targeting and recruiting to bring into town? So based off this list, are there any additional ideas that you'd like to see? I mean, we could send out 500 of these letters. And I said to the mayor, if we send out 500 letters and we get one business that comes in, we've still shared with 499 businesses. That New London is open for business and we're hopefully staying on their radar.
I think the letter was put together.
April gets thumbs up for coming up with the idea and drafting the letter. She did a phenomenal job.
You gave feedback.
I gave you feedback. You got to get the credit for being the go-getter on that one by far, 100%. But I'm very excited to do that. If there's any of them, in the middle of the night, you guys think of something, give April or I a call and we'll kind of pursue that. But I think this is just something really cool to kind of get our name out there to businesses and different type of business leaders outside the community to see if we can draw some interest in.
The time was right. Everything was happening. Big things are coming.
Oh.
I'd love to hear from the students. Like, what would you guys like to see in town? What are we missing?
Just like businesses, anything like that.
Yep. What do you go to the Valley for? What do you shop on Amazon for? What would you like to see?
I hear a lot of like, we don't have anywhere to shop for clothing, things like that. Like if you want clothes, you pretty much have to go to Walmart. Yeah. I'll do all my clothes shopping in Appleton, so that's a good point. Definitely,
Men's clothing.
it's like
My
for,
husband says this all the time. He's like, we have 2 boutiques that you get to go to shop for every weekend, and he still has to go outside of New London to shop for his clothing.
think back to like the theme days for basketball and football, where if we don't have a color, let's say if it's like tie-dye theme, we go to Walmart and as our only option. So to have more options like that would be really beneficial.
It'd be nice to have a butcher for a meat processor.
I've heard that one before.
No shortage of them right now, but it would be nice to have them. They have a big enough community, I think they'd be busy all the time.
I don't know if we have them, but like, I know really popular right now are like these little trendy food and drink places like in Appleton. There's like this thing called the soda shop. There's like that crumble cookie place. There's like
Yeah.
a smoothie place.
Specialty.
If we get some like new hot trendy thing like that, all the students would just be going. It'd be really profitable.
Yeah, and like a spot to go after school or something, because a lot of people go to Familiar Grounds or something like that, but if there's another spot, I think it would be pretty hot.
Awesome, thank you. You get any other ideas? I'd love to hear. Any questions for me? That's all I have.
Okay, then next up, under updates and reports is the city administrator report. Chad?
My screen's coming here. All right, a couple things in my report. First, I want to report on the downtown facade grant. We had 5 applications approved the first round. You can see the locations and the businesses there that were approved for various type things. So we still have money left over in the grant. I've announced that at the last chamber networking meeting, and it's going to be first come, first served at this point. We started with $40,000. We've got half of that committed with these 5. So depending on what other grant applications come up throughout the year, again, first come, first serve. And if anybody out there is listening and interested in it, the application's online, or just contact me at the city hall and I can most certainly help you with that. Secondly, we received 28 applications for a video and marketing producer position. I narrowed it down to the top 7 and invited them to submit videos of their work. We actually received 3 to actually submit their videos. So a little disappointed that we didn't get 7 of them to submit their work, but that really easily narrowed down the top 3 that actually submitted, and we're going to be looking at setting up interviews with those candidates next couple weeks. In reviewing this month's agenda with Chairman Croy, one focus that she'd like to talk about is starting to promote a unified hashtag for the city businesses, nonprofits, the city, et cetera, to really promote the city online more. So that's something we're going to internally work on, but I'm going to charge our 2 student reps here, talk to your classmates once and see what a good unified hashtag. And what I'm thinking right now is we would come up with maybe like the top 4 or something like that, and then maybe put out a survey and see what people think for the top 4, and maybe people vote and maybe kind of draw some interest. Just an idea.
And platforms, right? And different social media platforms.
Well, the hashtag should be good across the wall, you know. But I was just, we talked about getting some student perspective on what you guys thought a good New London general hashtag would be. So maybe shoot me some emails or whatever after you talk to some kids.
What
Talk
does
to
that
kids.
mean, a comment hashtag?
Linda, you want to kind of explain that?
So out on social media, whenever you post anything or do anything, you can do the hashtag. April, you're gonna pull it up for us?
I understand what a hashtag is. I guess I just didn't know, like,
So then any of the businesses, any people, so if I were down here for Big Whopper Weekend, I could hashtag Big Whopper Weekend, but I could also use whatever the New London unified hashtag is. And then whenever anybody, and if we start promoting that unified hashtag, we could put that up on our billboard, and then people could, you know, pull that hashtag up and they would see all these other things that have been tagged. So it's a marketing aspect to pull everything together. So,
Doesn't
So-
cost us anything.
No, I know, I guess I just wasn't sure when you, with the word comment.
because it would be the comment that you would put in your post would be the hashtag. That hashtag would be part of your posting.
It'd be really cool if we could just get everyone on board, students and the youth sports, chamber, tourism, city, all using the same unified hashtag.
And if anybody out there wants to know anything about New London, they search that hashtag and come up with a plethora of information. So something we'll work on, keep promoting out there. Like April said, Aldi's is starting the construction next Monday. I can't remember, did you talk about the groundbreaking event in your report?
Not in this one, no.
Okay, so heads up, and I think I've sent some emails out on this already. SC Swiderski is planning their groundbreaking event ceremony on June 18th, 1:00 p.m. The public is welcome to attend that event. The last thing that I didn't have in my report that we just got figured out on Friday, and I sent an email out to the council and the committee. We are doing our zoning rewrite project, and the consultant is doing stakeholder meetings to try to get public input on the start end of this. So you should have received an email inviting the committee, planning commission, and the council to a meeting. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's May 2nd at these I think are starting at 5:30.
5:30.
Is that what I sent you? Okay. So either come to this room or go online if you want to participate. If you can't participate, let me know. I can give you the questions and then you can write them down and we can submit that to our consultant later. But this is just helping us get the initial information, what people feel about New London zoning and what things we should target and look at as we're going through this year-long lengthy zoning rewrite project. If anybody has any questions on that, you can ask me after the meeting. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Chad. So next on the agenda is to review potential agenda items for future meetings. And the 4 that we have on the list are to consider upcoming schedule for advertising on the city's Highway 45 billboard. Then transportation updates, childcare updates, and housing updates. And one of the things that I really want to emphasize for this committee is that this is your committee as well. And so if there is something that you want to see added to the agenda items or to the agenda or something that you want brought up, just let me or Chad know. There's so much going on. We have a humongous list. I don't know, here somewhere. We have a humongous list of stuff we want to cover, but we also want to be very dedicated to certain programs and moving them forward and making sure that we're not diluting the waters too much, but getting things done. So, but like I said, this is your meeting. So any ideas, updates, things you want to see addressed?
I think we should
With the digital, yeah, that's gonna need to be back on. I agree. Thank you for catching that.
We'll look at the digital billboard. I've already got businesses waiting in the wings for the next 2 meetings already. So we'll keep that on as well. It's just, I think it's just great to kind of hear about what's going on, successful things going on in the community and business world.
And maybe some, I don't know, unofficial homework for all of us would be just to reach out to a couple businesses and see what the temperature gauge is. If there would be somebody interested in it or not. I don't know if it would change anything, but we could just say, yes, there's great interest or.
Yeah.
Yeah, as businesses come here to do their business highlight, maybe something that we could ask them to do would be to comment on any additional support or things that they might want from the municipality. How can we help them be more successful?
That's basically how we need when we do our tours? Is there anything that you would like to see?
Okay, anything else on that? Okay, then reviewing our next meeting date would be Tuesday, May 28th.
That's the regular date, the last Tuesday. However, that's the day after Memorial Day. I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of vacations and stuff going on that you guys want to consider bumping that up a week. Just to point that out.
The week before that would be council meeting, correct?
Correct. Yep. So probably not the best night for that either. We'd have to pick a different night of the week too, if you want to look at that.
Is there anybody here that knows that the 28th does not work for them? April?
Yep.
April and Hans.
Enhance, okay.
I'm coaching. So any Tuesday night is good.
So suggestions for what would work? The 21st is council,
Planning Commission will be the 23rd.
is the 23rd. Could we do the 22nd, Wednesday? That's a go for April. Hans, is that a go for you?
It doesn't, but I mean, just schedule it whenever you need.
22nd works for me. 28th works for me, either one of those dates.
They both work, 28th work for me.
Maybe just keep 28.
Okay, we can keep it the 28th.
Will do.
Okay. Um, Hearing nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.